That shit they saying. Fuck that shit they talking about. Hold up. Fuck that shit they saying. Fuck that shit they talking about, nigga. Fuck that shit they saying. Fuck them. Fuck that shit they talking about. Hold up. Fuck that shit they saying. Fuck that shit they talking about. Bitch, one thing never changed today. A nigga tip never did play. And listen, I don't hate you if you gay, but nigga, I'ma say what the fuck I wanna say. That's really all I care about in my family and the city of Atlanta. Been the shit with dealer dancers. Ain't no way for you to cancel. In my cabin with that done shit to be honest. Peace, 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 family. I hope everybody's doing well this Thursday. That's when I'm recording this Thursday morning. My name is Keisha. I am the owner of A Way of Life. I am a career and business coach using astrology. Today, we're going to be doing the weekly astrology, but I won't be posting this until Saturday. So if I'm using terms that are like, today is Saturday, child, that's why. Just so everybody's on the same page. But this is a new moon week. It's a great time to plant new seeds. What are you going to begin next? These are some of the things that you could be asking yourself. What is the next part of your journey? We've come a long way, family. I think we've actually been in this pandemic now for about 18 months, if I'm not mistaken. Might even be a little bit more than that, but what have you learned from this time? You know, all planets will be going direct this month as well. So we are actually repeating the exact same energy that happened when we started this damn shutdown. And so, what have you learned from this time? What new beliefs and daily routines have changed for you? Are you going to continue with those things? Mercury in retrograde and Neptune in retrograde has us reflecting back on this lockdown. Again, what did you learn? What did you change? Are you going to keep it that way? Are you going to go back? You know, did you find that some of the old ways of doing things actually really worked and there's no need to get rid of them? Or are you chucking out all of it and saying, no, I'm going to do things a little bit differently? For me personally, I've changed towards the new because of the freedom within it. I was listening to Dr. Boyce Watkins. Everybody that listens to me knows I'm always talking about him. He is my biggest, greatest fan. I am his biggest, greatest fan. And he had said something that was really, really, really profound. He was talking about it from a different perspective, but I feel like it's kind of the same thing. He mentioned that, you know, a lot of people accuse him of being a capitalist because he's into the fundamentals of making money. And he's pretty adamant about it, and he's got some pretty strong views towards it. And he says, I'm not a capitalist. However, we do need money to fund our freedom. In so many words, I'm paraphrasing, in the sense that we live in a capitalist country. And unfortunately, until things change, until our economy changes, the people in power change, we in some way, shape, or form still have to kind of abide by the rules in which this country is built on. With that being said, in a sense, how do we still be free, living our life without the confines of being under someone else, and do that in a secure way? And so he used the example of the education system, the job system. You know, if you're working for somebody and you're going into and you're educating yourself under these governmental structures and systems, you can't then go on vacation when you want. You can't then do, in fact, I like the example he used. He said, how do you do that and be free when you're supposed to quote unquote vote, but you got to ask for the day off? You can't just get up and go to fight for the rights that you can't even appropriately participate in the political parties, if that even was something that you wanted to do, to fight for the things that you want, the freedom that you want, if you're working and or going to school, right? I hope that that made sense and I didn't like drag that out too long, but in a sense, I really liked that point of view because you can't really move like you want. And if anybody was to really just sit down and meditate on what it is I'm saying, it's always so hard to do your daily routines and things that you have to do when you're working and going to school. And so even as I moved into these newer ways of moving and doing on a regular basis, I'm finding that I have the freedom to do those things. Now, I'm not sitting here trying to make it seem like I'm rich or anything like that. But as an example, if I wanted to get up and go and do something right now, if I wanted to go eat dinner with some friends right now, like I could do that if I wanted to. You know what I mean? Um, I'm not confined from being at work 9 to 5. So right now it's lunchtime. I'd probably be on my lunch break. And if my friends called me and was like, hey, Keish, you want to go do blah, 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 I would have to say no. Or we would have to plan for a different time, like the weekend or, after hours when you're too damn tired and exhausted and don't really want to participate in those things. And so in this way, when we're thinking about what freedom is to us, making sure that we're incorporating those things and really defining them for ourselves and not what society wants for us. That's what I feel like Aquarius is really, really trying to help us break from. And so, in a sense, Pluto is kind of giving us this edge by breaking down these governmental structures, forcing us to think more innovative and openly when we have to do these types of things, because in a way nobody's working anymore because these systems and structures are not working right now, right? So we're being forced to think differently about these types of situations. And I feel like even on a deeper level, like we all know that in some way, shape, or form, we are restricted, Saturn in Aquarius, blocked, delayed in these types of everyday things. And so we are really being forced to redefine what that is unapologetically, right? Just let it freely be of thought. And then you put the structure and systems around it. Because Saturn, no matter where Saturn is, he's always going to come back and show you where are the cracks in your foundation towards your goals, right? And it's always going to be there to support us and help us with that process. So think freely, be open, be excited about being open, be excited about being free in your thought process on where do you want, what does freedom look like for you? Okay. And now as you're processing all of that information, how does that change your daily routine? Is it realistic, right? We got to be realistic about this stuff. Is it realistic? And then how do we do that? And I think the capitalist piece is that's all your passive income. So you got to learn more about how a whole life insurance policy can help you do that, how investing over time can help you do that, how maybe on the other side with the Taurus, your side hustles and your self-employment projects and things can help you do that. Even with Saturn being in Aquarius, I feel like this is more like of your subscriptions, your newsletters, and things that operate no matter what, and you still get paid for it. So like if you buy a product and it's on Amazon, you don't ever have to worry about that. You put that product on Amazon and people will just buy it, and boom, that's income coming in without you having to think about it or do anything about it. It just works, right? And so that's how I feel about how Aquariuses can think about making money. I mean, there's so many other different ways, but again, in that freedom piece, you could be on vacation getting paid. You need $25. Boom, somebody buys something, you got your $25 to get something. You know what I mean? Like, just like getting something that is on a consistent basis that's going to pay you without you really having to do the work, right? That's very Saturn and Aquarius to me. And I was listening to Stormy Grace. I don't know if anybody who knows who she is. She's an astrologer on here. And she did a whole class for free just this past year. And so now she's wrapping up and getting ready to move into her second year. And what she did to do that was a Kickstarter. So she did like a whole 3, maybe 9 months. I might be overthinking that. It could have really been 90 days. That's what I think I meant to say. She did a whole 90-day promotional period where people can pay whatever they wanted. Every little bit helps, and then tells you the number that she's trying to get to, which allowed thousands and hundreds and millions of people to learn astrology for free, because that amount of money was strategically planned out so that people, so I'm assuming all the teachers came together and said, hey, this is what I get paid that allows me to live freely on a regular basis, no matter where I am or what I'm doing, right? And if you can promise me that you'll get me that number, I would most definitely teach your classes and we can do that for free. Right. So that's just another form of the way I think of Saturn and Aquarius when it comes to how we make our money moving forward. So you could do like little Kickstarters and things of that nature. Charging people just $1 to come in and just hear you talk. What is $1, family? What is $1? Like, so changing our mind about money, how we make money, and the value that we put on that. Changing our beliefs around that, opening up and being a lot more innovative and creative when it comes to that process, right? And so I feel like Pluto and Capricorn, Saturn and Aquarius have really challenged us in this way to think about sustainability, right? And so how and what have we learned throughout this year when it comes to those types of things? And how are we going to continue moving forward within that process? All right. And so Wednesday is the actual new moon. What is the fresh perspective around our relationships to things? I'm doing that intentionally when I say relationships to things, because I feel like we are just way too caught up on romantic relationships. Don't get me wrong, they are so great and so important, right? Everybody wants to be loved, right? But our value and our self-worth is way more important, I think, at this point, as opposed to talking about being in a relationship with somebody. Like, how are you going to have that conversation about being in a relationship with somebody and you don't love yourself, right? We're talking about Saturn and Aquarius and Pluto and Capricorn. They're going to get down to the truth. Pluto and Capricorn is going to get to the truth of your deepest, darkest desires. Saturn and Aquarius, unapologetically. We're not asking for permission here to be who we are, who we truly are at our soul's level, right? And so when I say relationships to things, really understanding what that means for you and being able to intellectualize that without being grounded in that intellectualizing what you want, I'm not talking about being fresh or nasty here. You don't got to make no demands or say if you don't, or it's all about the boundaries. This is just a conversation, right? This is just you being, right? This is you being grounded in your principles, philosophies, and beliefs, and your self-worth. This is what you value, period, right? And I feel like when you are strongly grounded in that belief, whatever that is for you, then you can start, the relationships that you have, building and trying to find someone for you. In fact, I don't think if you don't do that, you're going to find somebody for you without actually indulging in that process, focusing on that process, being true to that process, being disciplined in that process, owning that process, being realistic about that process, being vulnerable within that process. You can keep dating if you want to. You're not going to attract anybody better than who you are in that moment, right? And there are some people who, this is their karma, right? You can look in the chart and see clearly. People learn through other people. I could use Geminis as an example, which is myself, because we learn through other people. But you also get the great opportunity with your Pluto energy to learn how to manipulate energy. Just because you're a Gemini does not mean that has to be the only way that you learn, right? And so now we're in the age of the digital era, right? And so for me personally, how I've made this work for me is like, you always hear me say, I talk about Dr. Boyce Walking. So I follow people that I want to emulate. You know what I mean? I learn and educate myself around people who I admire, who I look up to, right? This is very Pluto and Capricorn to me. And this is my personal view of this energy, and whether you could do that with or without somebody, right? Everybody, it's going to be different for everybody. The bottom line is learning what your relationships to other things are, even if that means you have to learn that through other people. Whatever that is for you, doing it with boundaries so that you're not overindulging, or so that you don't have to do it to the point where you get hurt and repeatedly repeat patterns that perhaps are scarring you in some kind of way, and to the point where I don't want to say there's no return, because I don't believe that, but it's just going to take you a longer time to learn, right? I mean, it's going to take you a long time to heal anyway, right? And it's about discipline and repeating. We learn through repetition. And so consistently doing those things that make you happy until you believe them, right? But, again, this is just some things to think about from a different perspective. I'm trying to challenge myself to think differently and not get caught up in just the personal astrology, but also understanding the transit astrology and how that relates to me. So even for me, I'm learning through my relationship to astrology and how that helps me. Yeah, so I can go on and on and on about that. But what fresh perspectives have changed around relationships to things? Because it's a Libra new moon, this could be love, money, beauty, contracts, agreements, all relationships really, but marriage, mentorship, diplomacy, your business, your buying and selling. This could definitely be real estate, law, in some way, shape, or form. Law is ruled here. And then, again, you have to look at what's going out in the world. So I can only imagine that we'll be hearing a lot more rules around these things changing. And how is that going to affect us? How are we going to move within between these things and still be free? Still have some sense of freedom, security, and stability, sustainability, right? Yeah. So what kind of relationships do you want, and what are you doing to get there? These are the things that could be coming up during this time. The same day, Pluto goes direct. This is your opportunity to show yourself where you have risen, that Phoenix rising energy, right? It has taken you to depths of your chart, to our foundations, our beliefs around authority, around business, you as a parent, right? And these governmental structures and systems. And I think I've pretty much touched on that, right? So no need to beat a dead horse there, but I think you guys get the picture. You know, how are these change? How has what you learned changed your views? And now what are you going to do to start working towards those things to be consistent everyday things? Just a short example, I'm homeschooling, right? I have my business, so I have my system and structure throughout the day to know what I need to do to get my number, right? I have to have my number. What's going to help me be able to eat? Me and my son, how are we going to eat this week? So I have to make sure that I'm consistently doing whatever I can to make that number for this week, right? And then just going back to the passive income, if I can't, I have a backup. And now, obviously, I don't want to be using that backup, but I will tell you as a newfound investor, some days that shit has saved my life, right? We are in the beginning stages of these changes. Not everybody's buying from small businesses. We're still waking up from this and buying from places that perhaps we could do a lot better. Okay, but and then Venus the Thursday. So Friday, Thursday, Venus enters Sagittarius. Venus rules love, harmony, beauty, relationships, money, and what we attract. In Sagittarius, we want adventure. I mean, we may want to surround ourselves with art that reflects culture or travel, even education, even music. We want to learn different languages here, travel. I think I said that, but philosophy, spirituality, religion, a higher education, world experiences. We can even see a lot of these different things like on social media, what people are learning or what's happening or what has changed. We could see that being reflected on the media at this time. Or just hear like a lot of people having these different kinds of conversations. What are our beliefs that may have changed? Our world views may have changed in a pretty big way at this point. And we're going to see that with this, with Venus and Sagittarius. I even think some of these things can open, being in the lockdown. Like maybe we can see they come up with something official for how people travel over this period of time moving forward, right? Because we're also ending the Gemini Sagittarius eclipse. And so, South Node was in Sagittarius. And so we have been revamping that area of life. So everything that I mentioned here, higher education, long distance travel, culture, your worldviews, philosophy, your beliefs, your religion, spirituality, all these things here have been under great review. And so as we wrap up this cycle, the people in these fields could have come to some really great ways of how travel will be expected to follow by from here on out. So we can see or hear a lot of things about that coming out at this time. Sun and Mars conjunct are about movement. These are great times to get things done. And Mercury conjunct Mars is a great time to get things done, but specifically speaking, I'd even like to say negotiations here, newsletters, publications with others, and or just things But be open to criticism with Mars. Mars is on fleek right now. You know, go into conversations knowing that you're going to hear a different perspective. Not everybody's on the same page. I gotta be honest with you. This is something that I've been struggling with so bad right now. As a Gemini, our problem is that we always see all different perspectives. We never just see our perspective. So when we speak on it, again, we have to be grounded and firm in our perspective and not try to cover all perspectives. And so when we communicate with others, we can often confuse people and not be clear on where we actually stand, which is why Geminis are always related to liars, which is not true. It's just one piece of the puzzle, but let them have their say, right? Let people have their points of views, you know. But in these relationships, depending on who these people are, you do need to get to the negotiation piece. Say what you want to say, but get to know me. You know, don't just judge me off of that one specific thing. Go deeper, right? Don't be surface level, right? Get to the root of the issue, right? And learn from it. Learn from each other. Be open to that process. Be open to perhaps what I may have to say has some value to it. But so doesn't that other person's, vice versa. And how do we move forward as a union with that process, right? This could be a lot of things that are being discussed at this time. And so even with that on the world stage, again, a lot of people having a diplomatic conversation. So one country from the other country, they might be having some spit spat about how are we going to do this now? Because you said some fucked up shit and you done some fucked up shit. And now here we are, but we got people in this country who need some shit. And so how are we going to negotiate and come together to make this work? Or are we not? This could very well be a severed situation. I don't think that's what Libra wants. Mercury being in Libra and Mars being in Libra. I don't think that should is probably going to be the end game. But you know, some people might, you know. All right. And then on the 10th, Saturn goes direct. This is business, government, your work area of life. What were you doing to make sure your foundations were being secured? What lessons did you learn? Write what worked and what didn't down. It's going to show you where you've gained some freedom and maturity if you've discovered these things, like everything that I was saying in the beginning. You know, this was a perfect way to end this. I didn't plan it that way, but now that I see the outcome, that was literally what I've been talking about, you know, because again, Saturn's going to show you where your cracks are in your new goals and plans, right? And Saturn also rules the past and authority. So are you becoming an authority? Are you doing what it takes to become an authority? And are those things that you're doing going to get you to your goals? I was listening to Billy Carson. I don't know if anybody knows who he is. I really, really like him. He's got a book out called Woke Doesn't Mean Broke. Sorry. That book is like a fucking Bible, or rather as big as a Bible. It might even be bigger. And he has almost like how you could deal with debt, other side hustles and forms of ways of getting money, like anything you can think of, family. Obviously, with that book being that big, like it's all in that book. And he has been doing some speaking engagements, and he mentioned how when he first sat down to write another book that he happened to write, that he sat down for 15 days, and he didn't do anything else but focus on writing that book. That's right. I paused because I really, really, really want you to hear what I just said. He said, for 15 days, I sat down to write this book and I didn't stop until I finished. Phones off, sex off, friends off, world off until I finished this book. Now, I personally would not ever do something like that. I need to mix it up because my focus is not, it just doesn't work like that. Like I got to be doing 7 different things at once, right? But I liked this example as Saturn, talking about Saturn and discipline, because what he was making the point of is that you don't have to be broke. You choose to be broke by way of your work ethic. I'm not talking about nobody. I'm just trying to make a point here when it comes to business. And if you're going to go into this self-employment even way of living, right? Are you going to take that option or are you going to go back to work? Either way, you have to have discipline and whatever that is moving forward, right? And so I think if we even took it a step further, that he was only even able to do something like that for 15 days. Just think about it. He has to, for one, have money to be able to support him to not be doing any fucking thing else for 15 days. Let's just keep it all the way 100, family, right? Not to mention, if he knew he was writing this book for 15 days and was able to publish it, as soon as he was done, he had a backup plan financially for that, right? He was just giving really great examples of what a structure and system takes to follow it through before you make the assumption that, for one, you don't have the skills and knowledge to do something. I don't think that's true. You don't have the ideas to come up with something. I don't think that's true. And that you're not ever going to be able to accomplish anything. And I don't think that's true. I think it's a matter of building your education and understanding within your systems and structures, right? And getting the support to help you follow that out, the tools and the resources that you need to help you bring that to fruition, right? So we still got a lot of unlearning and learning to do. So don't be so hard on yourself about where you're at this point in your life, what you've accomplished at this point. Scratch that. Because if you stop focusing on that, that's going to bring you down. What are you going to start doing today? And teach yourself the right way to do it, the proper steps to do it. Strategy is key, right? Okay. Because I can go on another tangent about that, but I'm not. I really thought this was a great way to wrap things up, family. Don't be afraid. Whatever it is you're choosing to do, at the end of the day, make sure there's freedom and happiness within those choices. And that's all that matters. As long as you are happy for you, not what everybody else is saying. And that you have some level of freedom within that. We are not accepting the oppressive ways of doing things anymore. All right, family. I hope this information was helpful.